Hey guys, and welcome back to What's the Formula? Now, of course, I already posted one that I didn't seem too enthusiastic about because I didn't do much to it. But this one, this took some time. And looking at it, I might even do a little bit of touch up to make sure it blends better. But how cool is this one? Actually, Mattel Ultimate Custom Tyson Tomco. Now, this is from his TNA run when he was just known as Tomco, basically. The decals are from Curb Stomp. I had used lower Austin legs and acetoned off the tattoo, give him more of the smaller boots. The formula was pretty simplistic. I used Goldberg's torso, so there was a little bit of chest hair, but he had it sometimes. Sometimes he didn't have it. I'm not too worried about it. Chest hair, who cares? You could always take and if you have the ability, rub that off. It takes some time because it's kind of into the skin, so you really have to burn out that skin, which I did that with Hardcore Holly, only to find out that really messed up that Hardcore Holly. So I didn't want to dabble with it. The decals from Curb Stomp City Customs, and then I didn't apply these decals. I ended up sending this guy off to be applied with someone who had a strong passion and showed me a lot of their work. And so I was like, okay, I'll give you a shot. They took a good payment, fair deal. I thought a great deal for me. They applied the decals. Again, I used this Goldberg kind of layout of the body, um, and he is on, if I remember correctly, not ball joints at all. So yeah, it is a Stone Cold. That's right. It was a Stone Cold. Um, Originally, the whole base, head's Jack's figure, hands. Obviously, Austin didn't come with these kind of hands, so I used a bigger wrist tape. They were just plain hands, obviously adding the decals because they were not there originally, and then putting black wrist tape. I wanted to find white wrist tape, but there was nobody that was um, double jointed that had white wrist tape, and I couldn't find anything that matched. But I also looked up reference photos, and he did have black wrist tape at one time too. So um, had it not been the person willing to do it for me, apply this stuff, I probably would have applied it myself. I think I would have done a good job. I've gotten better doing these, but at the time I was brand new at it. I didn't want to go into difficulties of 3 or 4 yet. I kind of have only dabbled in 1 and 2. Now I'm moving on to 3 because I've gotten better with 1 and 2, no problem. So, and because we already made a huge deal, I had to honor that deal. So I did send off Raven, R-Truth, a whole bunch of others. So, wanted Tyson Tomko. I have Christian. I have AJ Styles Ultimate. I love to build the Jax Ruthless Aggression line into Ultimates. Hence, getting rid of basically the Ruthless Aggression Jax figures, but um, just a great looking figure. He heights, you may have seen pictures with the Ultimate Dragon. He height scale wise, he's there. Tomko wasn't super big, but he also wasn't super tiny. I do remember when he fought Steven Richards, he dwarfed Steven Richards in that one match they had. But just phenomenal looking, great. If I might say so, a great formula put together by me. I thought about it. Looking at the Jax figure, I was like, Tomco is not too much. You could obviously go and get a painter or do it yourself and blend it, but really, there's not much blending needed. I don't see any real color differentiate, from it. The Goldberg torso works wonders on this Tomco. Um, and again, like if you want to paint it over and make it all one color, you can. But if you don't have the ability, now of course, if you don't want to add the decals and the tattoos, you can I guess make Tomco without tattoos. I'm sure you probably didn't have tattoos at one point, but I would go the extra mile. I would get the decals. If you're afraid to do decals yourself, there are great people out there on the Wrestling Fig um, Facebook group, the custom figure group I've been posting at. I'm sure there's easily somebody who specializes in customization and have no problem you paying them a few bucks and them attaching these tattoos. Um, or the ones you don't feel comfortable with. Obviously, there's some that you have to really either pre-cut and then put there and sync it up really well. When I talked to the guy about the decals, he told me what he does is he usually just puts them where they need to be, and then once you've Mod Podged and you've sealed them and they're not going anywhere, then you carefully take a scalpel or X-Acto knife, scalpel, I keep saying scalpel, X-Acto knife, and you carefully cut, and then you reseal that area that's no longer there. Obviously, that has, if it's on like a swivel. If it's not on a swivel, it's not too difficult to do. I mean, he kept the elbow pads after he took them off, put them back on, which is fine because I wanted to keep the elbow pads. You still see the tattoos in there. And he did wrestle with elbow pads at times, and of course, I kept the shorter knee pads. I do recall altering my Jax one back in the day when I got that 3-pack with Christian, and I used the Kurt Angle smaller legs because it kind of gave him more of that look that he kind of had. He didn't have hulking big boots all the time. He did, I think, in some, but a lot of times he had these short little kick, kind of like lower Austin boots. So, and of course, as you know, if you use stone, the only way to get these kind of boots on without adding glue or something is you have to trade it up to Stone Cold's legs because he has little tiny connector pieces, whereas everyone else has bigger pieces. So that's how you can put the formula together if you want to build your own Tyson Tomko. Hopefully this was insightful. As you can see, I'm a lot more enthusiastic about this one than Finn Balor because all I really did with him was swap his torso. This took some thinking and some good parts and just some patience. And again, decals are where you want to go. Curb Stomp City or Curb. Is it Curb City Stomp or whatever? If you ask around, you can find them. There's only like one guy who sells decals. I've been bugging him to make some Wildman Mark Marrow decals so I can get a Wildman Mark Marrow. I found the head on, I want to say it was Tom Veg had the Mark Marrow head, so that'll eventually show up. I'll probably end up sending that off to be painted to match skin tone, put more formula together. I've got over 60 people still to build, and still another at least 100 I'm thinking about building. So it's late, time to go to bed. Tomco, if you don't, if you don't watch the video fully or you're not sure about certain stuff, feel free to message me and I'll tell you more of the best details I can. I will say this. After you apply the decal, make sure you go carefully with a black, very fine tip paint pen, or as some people say, don't use paint pens, use paint, and go over and bleed in and blend it so that way you don't see the white decal edge, because you're not going to cut this super thin. You're going to cut it like a square or even a round circle, so you'll have that little white ring around it. You don't want that, so blend it in and then reseal it. That's what I'd recommend. But Tomco is complete. He's off my list. On to Abyss and Judas Messias.